Nah, what an intro. You could have asked me to make one for you.
Welcome to another episode of Unconditional.
Yeah, thank you for having me,
Johnny.
Darren.
Thank
I
you for
appreciate
being
it. You know,
Johnny
that's awesome.
C. I am so thrilled that you're here. I know you're nervous. Don't worry about it. I have all of probably 2 people listening to these things, so
No, that's good then.
that's not an issue. How are things? How's your morning?
You know, it's honestly, it was all enveloped around this whole thing. I actually got my daughter up. I said, listen, I'm going to go do a podcast today. She goes, oh, that's special or something. I go, look, you got to be out. We got to be out of the house. I'm going to drop you off. I got to get there early. I'm going to be prepared. Like I'm psyching myself up for it. Then I get the message from you, you know, come early, whatever. So it just amped up the levels there.
Can you believe this shit is part of our jobs now as agents?
You know, it's looking at how the media is working and how the whole business is working. You know that this is the trend of where it's going, you know. And I don't think it's necessarily going to always bring you sales and whatnot. But I think the most important part about it is that it gives people a level of communication. Maybe they get used to, just like we look at our own people on media and we feel that we're close to them and we know them and whatnot. It's the same thing, a familiarity.
It's visibility.
Visibility, yeah, that's a good way to put it.
But it's just fucked. Like when I started in this job, to think that we would have to be social media creators, we would have to be doing video, we'd have to be doing podcasts. It's absolutely insane to me. And I'm not doing this. You know, agents that do this, it's all about picking up business, right? Yeah. Like since I've made this transition and I own the brokerage now, it's just about visibility for the brokerage. It's about recruiting. It's about, you know, having the services available for agents so that they know that we're ahead of the curve.
Well, I told you when you were doing those videos, I like those videos that you were posting all the time on Instagram. And I don't know, it's just like a touching base type of thing. Some of them are funny, and the way you're acting them out. But at the end of the day, it gives like I don't know. I'm a consumer of that. Yeah, and even though I know you, it's like I'm a consumer of that content, anyways. Like I'll be honest, I don't watch TV at all.
Yeah, nobody does.
Zero TV.
Fucking TikTok.
Yeah, I don't. I have and believe it or not, all my schedules revolve around various things on YouTube that I like watching. Even something as idiotic. They have this thing in. I believe it's in Australia. These falcons that are born, and I'm watching them grow up, and then they're going to fledge, and about one of them left. Like
they got like the live video.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there watching birds, as you could see even on my Instagram. I got all those bird videos, and I was like, "What the hell are you doing?" I go, "I don't know." I know,
but I'll tell you,
interest.
The videos, it's a full-time job just coming up with content. It's annoying as all hell. I got to listen to my kids going, what do you think you're a content creator?
No, we're not. It takes the ones that do it, and it's not easy. I was telling Luca before we came in here, I said, everyone wants to be Joe Rogan until they stuff a mic in front of their face, and they're like, holy shit, like this is literally, just when that mic we put here, I was like, oh, what the hell is going on? Like now you're being documented.
You're in it.
You're in it. You know, like what do you got to say for yourself, and what are you going to say? And, and I think the hardest thing that people have is just like be yourself, trying to be yourself, and, not trying to be, especially in our industry, selly. And I don't know if that's a word, but being a selly people are going to like you, they'll like you. If they don't like you, they won't. It's just the way it is.
So here's the thing, and if I'm wrong, by all means correct me, but this shit is eking into your industry as well. And knowing you the way I know you, I'm assuming, the reason I use you so often, by the way, John is a mortgage broker I should have started with that, with Mortgage Intelligence.
Yeah.
I've been using him my entire career. I love him. My clients love him. And I assume most people use you as word of mouth, and because they have such a great relationship with you and they like spending time with you. But is a time coming where you're going to have to start coming into this fucking world?
I think that's the thing that's
and
made me the most nervous, especially after seeing, what's going on there and getting all the feedback and going to these seminars and listening to peers that are in the industry that have been even longer in the industry than I have, and they're all going that way. And I think the nervousness is getting out of the comfort zone to start doing things like this. And I don't know. I find that the most difficult thing, but I think, and coming to today, I think was a big challenge. But I said, once I get this thing over with and done, It will let me, give me an opportunity to, you know what, you're going to do it. You're going to sound stupid so many times. You may say stupid things. You may actually not have really anything proper to say that's going to make any sense, because half of it's just trying to get acclimatized to literally doing this thing. Much like if you picked up a guitar for the first time, are you going to sit there being, Alda Meola or Alan Holdsworth? No, it's going to take years, and it's going to take time to actually do these things.
We all have this perception in our head, though, that people actually give a shit what we're doing, and that if you make an ass out of yourself in a video or doing a podcast, that everybody's going to be talking about you and making fun of you. The truth is, nobody gives a shit.
Yeah,
Nobody's
you know what I think they're
thinking
going to
about
be more cognizant of? That's not John, or that's not Darren. If we're trying to make up a bunch of bull, if you're faking it, and if they know it's you speaking, and that's that he's being that they're being frank about what they're talking about, they say that's But if you're making stuff up and going along, people can, especially the people that know you,
they'll
can
see right
they'll
through
see
it.
right through, and they say, what, good try, but it doesn't go over well.
So the question I have is, me, like you, the vast majority of my business is repeat and referral, and comes from sort of my sphere of influence, we call it in our industry. So I just start thinking, like, if I had been doing this throughout the last 10 years of my career, right? If I had been taking these steps, if you start taking these steps, we have great careers as a mortgage broker, as an agent. But if we implement this, is the sky the limit? Like, how much more business will we be able to do or bring in from strangers, from people that don't know us?
Even if it's zero, even if you got nothing,
just
out
reinforces.
of it, and you just got in the practice of doing it, just getting in the habit of doing something like this, even if you got nothing out of it, I think just the exercise and the discipline of doing something is important. It's like, I think that's even, especially in this world here. And if you gain traction, great. If you don't gain a lot of traction, you don't. Find ways to adjust, modify, you just learn, and it's a workable thing. Some people are going to be much more successful at it, and others will not. It's all going to depend on the person, what, people's familiarity with what you're doing, that type of thing there. But you have to commit and do it. And if you've ever, and I think yourself, of all the content creators that are out there and the people that have done these things, and looking at the ones, that are online and the big ones, they started somewhere, but they didn't stop. They modified, changed the way they did things, perhaps changed the way, everything from simple things to lighting, microphones, this, that, studios, whatever, to the way they broadcast, how they broadcast. Do they do live? Do they not do live broadcast? Could you imagine the stress of doing an actual live broadcast?
No.
That would be completely insane.
For sure. Well, you're right. Repetition is key.
So it's absolutely important.
And that's like any marketing, whether we're talking about traditional print marketing, or we're talking about door knocking. I always tell the agents.
But print marketing, you could print the same flyer and distribute it into this area where we are right now for the next 10 years. And it'll have the address, it'll have these things here, maybe recent sales or Sure. But this here is a very dynamic thing. One day we could be talking about this. Tomorrow there could be some epic thing that occurs in our industry that changes everything, and you're back here reporting on it immediately. And I think that's the most important thing about this source of media, is that it's immediate. Like, you could literally get the message out quick. There's no time. You could come in here and do a pod. Have you ever heard of a guy named Joey Ingram that's in the poker world? No. This guy here, literally, he does like a kind of a poker reporting type of thing. And I'll tell you what.
Podcast?
A podcast, but what's amazing, and he'll do a live one too. This guy will literally, when something occurs, there was recently a poker scandal. I don't know if you know about it.
I do know the poker
scandal. Well, if you look up Joey Ingram, he literally went on, and he's done it multiple times. Yeah. He would literally go on air, let's say on air, for 8 hours straight.
And just talk.
Bring guests, other poker pros, people. And he was like a machine, like going, I'm like, how? You could fall asleep, wake up, and it's 9 o'clock in the morning Eastern. He's still going.
That's crazy.
He was literally doing, and people were talking in the industry, and I'm saying it's just how you choose. And I believe that the just-in-time inventory, just-in-time information is more important than the newspaper. Do you buy newspapers?
No, but I do read the paper every morning.
I read the one online.
Yeah, online.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is, the repetition is key, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're putting out, I always tell the newer agents, more established agents, whatever, if you're putting out a postcard or a just listed card or a just sold card, don't do it. Save your money. Unless you plan on sending it out every 2 weeks for the
Yeah.
rest of your life, don't do it. There's no point. Because people are going to get one postcard, they're going to look at it, they're going to throw it out, they're never going to think of you again.
Yeah. We used to do a lot of those, like, certain types of I myself advertisements, and like fly, all of them really didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Those they were, and this, you're definitely right. We should have started on this many years ago. It's not like especially with Instagram, Facebook. I've been around for quite some time, and Instagram really took traction for myself in 2013. I think is when and just looking at it was amazing. But who would have known that?
But your Instagram, what I know about you from Instagram is that you're a fisherman.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't know much or anything about your
And
business.
I like birds.
And you like birds. And your dog.
Yeah.
Right? But it's important to get the personal side of thing. That's what the social media is for.
Yeah, I went to a course a couple of years ago that talked about, going on the personal side of it. And I find when I look at stuff, I always think that my stuff is boring and it's already out there. Even the information, like I put some things on reels and stories
bullshit.
that
People love you. If they get to see inside your life, that's a kick for them.
So I like just doing the stuff about the fishing, maybe an occasional guitar thing, the stuff about the birds and the funny squirrel that shows up at our house every day, and that was there this morning too. So just doing weird stuff like that. And I find the industry stuff, the pertinent stuff, I'll put out there in a reel that comes and goes, because to make it an actual post, it's irrelevant, could be irrelevant just in an hour or a day or a week. So, but I find it depending on the type of business that you're in. Like I think what you do is, and the way that you do it a lot more on the business side of it is extremely important, because you're recruiting, you're educating agents, recruiting agents, doing all that thing there. Where I'm just a sole proprietor myself, right? Just that's it. And so I think the process that you use, the dynamic process, and you're super honest. I told you about that, right?
Yeah.
I freaking love that. That was one of the best.
Which one again?
Remember there was a one.
I love a good compliment.
I was gonna say, and it wasn't not to say here. I even told you I was gonna send you a message about it when you're talking about the agents and something related to the support, and you were being blatantly honest, and you got some heat because of that post.
Yeah.
Do you remember? I fucking love that thing. I thought that's a really.
Oh, I remember the.
Which one? And I said, you know what? I connected with that. I said, there's like pure honesty, and you actually, I believe that when you did that post, you took an additional step out of your comfort zone to put that, because you knew you were going to get heat. I think for that, and I could tell in your face, because I've known you long. I go, he's stepping out of bounds on this a little bit.
Give it a try.
Give it a shot.
Yeah,
and I thought it was great. What.
You could be doing the same thing with clients, though, right? Like, I mean,
on the financial part of it, we really deal, because of you guys deal with something everything that you guys deal with, every property is specific to its longitude and latitude.
Well, and we get and it's sexy.
Yeah.
Right? Numbers aren't
Do you
sexy.
really think that's, I understand but a lot of it is people want to keep that financing part's pride of it. They won't put messages on Instagram to ask for financial advice through there and whatnot. But they do get in touch with you.
So when you're dealing with a new client, let's say I pick up a new buyer, one of the first things I do is tell them to speak with you. What I guess
what
not
the process, what I do?
Not the process, but what's your biggest pet peeve? Like, I imagine you have so many people come into your office or online now, and you're thinking to yourself, how dumb are these people? They are going to make themselves completely house poor just for a house. Like, how do you deal with the affordability? Can I tell you,
before we start punching in numbers and going complete, I make sure that the clients ahead of time, we do, even before there's a pre-approval, we're saying the run-of-the-mill, I need a credit bureau, and I just say, look, I don't even need to know really much about you other than give me your income information, what your down payment is going to be. Let's just do a total qualification that you could have done online, but I'm going to just look at it right now, and we'll look at the stresses just so you can have a number for your budgeting, so that the clients don't have to go through a terribly invasive process of sending their thing. Let's just talk right now. That's all. Let's just talk so that you want to walk away, you can walk away. And you know me, I've even said it many times. Clients, I'm trying to do right is by the clients. If they do a deal with me or not, doesn't matter. It really doesn't. I'm telling you right now, I'll put the time into it. And you've seen, I've told clients to go, you know what, go to your bank. This is a better deal there.
No
Even
question.
clients that are more comfortable, go to your bank, do whatever you got to do. I have no problem. I've even told clients, even if you want me to, relook at something for you and feel free, very rarely do they come back because a lot of the banks do a decent job. There are some people, good people there as well, but you give the people the options ahead of time, and that's what you end up doing. Keep it simple. Imagine you get to go in and buy, you wanted to buy a TV, and then all of a sudden people are like, okay, and you wanted to apply for credit, and their credit applications and do it. Don't put barriers to your business right at the beginning.
Yeah.
That's a huge barrier, especially with financial stuff. With a house, I find it's easy, a little bit easier with realtors because you can get someone on the line and speak about the market, talk about the market, the area, what's going on. With finances,
Well, and they're talking about their dream, right?
100%.
Like, it's an exciting thing to purchase.
my part is the part, probably not the happiest
hard
part
part,
of it.
yeah.
It's not the happiest part of it, and it could be if you give give them some information to give what the reality of what the current what their finance, and it's really about the budgeting, especially in times like this.
Yeah, that's the question I'm going for, right? Like, do people get as in depth with you as like? Are you asking how much do you spend on groceries? How much
No.
do you want for entertainment? How many trips do you want to take a year? Do people consider that stuff? Or no, they just push it all away?
There's I would say once we put that number to them, like just the basic mortgage number with their taxes and whatnot, that discussion, I don't know if they consider it, but we always talk about it. I say, well, you consider it with your other things. And I always started off to make it more like of a joke type of thing, anecdotal. I say, like, consider this with all your expenses. Do you have daycare expenses? I always say, what about your Netflix and Hulu accounts as a joke? I don't even know. I don't, whether they have them or not, but just say, look at it in the context of all these things here. Like, I had a recent call even with someone who brought up, like, what can we do about the current market? Our rates are high or whatever. I said, did you look at your other things? I go, rates are not going to save you right now. Rates are high across the board pretty much. If we look at what people were accustomed to paying, but you have to look now at your budgets, at your personal budgets. Where is money in your personal familial budget actually that you could actually cut back if that's where it is? If you even want to cut back, or it's just your feeling that you need to get a lower, interest rates or lower payments, but it's not necessarily your mortgage. You could literally trim off a lot just by doing other things that, do you have gym memberships that you don't go to that you're spending $150 a month just because, I don't know if, these other things like Netflix and all, they're going to break the bank, but there are people who have expenses that
everything adds up.
100%.
I saw a clever TikTok video yesterday. I don't remember what the numbers were, but it was a mortgage broker. I'm pretty sure it was a mortgage broker. It could have been an agent, but I'm pretty sure it was a mortgage broker. And they did a good job of illustrating that purchasing a house now at these interest rates, that's $100,000 less than it was at 3%.
Yep.
You're still walking away better off now with the higher interest rate. And people are confused about that. Like, you can't satisfy everybody, right? When prices were crazy high and interest rates were low, you couldn't get a house to save your life. Now, interest rates are high, prices have come down substantially, and everybody's complaining about the interest rates. Well, this interest rate just made the house affordable for you.
Correct in some cases, but you got to remember that people don't know or trying to figure out where did they get that end value? Like, I know that a lot of the people are trying, and I understand people are trying in our industry trying to illustrate where the price came down and there's that equilibrium or you're better off type of thing. But they'll be like, well, you got to remember, how is that price determined of that property since it hasn't sold yet? Or if you find me something that like sold. And the other thing, and I think it's very important, is that people right now with the perception in the industry is that we can say all these things and whatnot, but the reality is you can't contradict what's going on in the media. Not contradict, but fight what's happening in the media. That they're saying the market's going down. We haven't seen the worst of it. Canada's going to melt. All these.
But you know as well as I do that this is the time when sharks strike.
Yeah, 100%.
This is the time when smart people buy.
Especially if you have the wherewithal, and the next the best thing advice that I've been able to give to some prospective clients, I said, be prepared. If you don't have any reason to buy at this point in time, that's not compelling you, at least be prepared to buy. Get your stuff. You don't have to put up credit bureaus and do that. But I send them the information. Have your application ready. Don't even send it in. Keep everything ready. Be updated. Make sure your income taxes are done. Make sure all your stuff is ready to go. And so that if you're ready to do something and you want to move, be ready to move, man. Yeah. Be ready. That's really, I think, the important thing. Preparation, just like anything else. Be prepared that you can. You may end up wanting to. Do people not want to buy? Of course they want to buy, especially people who are renting, and with rents increasing dramatically, they, over time, they're thinking, well, eventually history is going to show that there's going to be a tipping point, right? We're going to get to a point where the prices are going to level off. You'll have, I believe, and I would like to credit it perhaps to Warren Buffett or something that I might paraphrase from it, well, you'll see a point where there's the ultimate pessimism in our industry, where everyone's going to say more or less, the general thing, that the market is finished, nobody should buy, everything's gone bad. And that's the time when the trajectory goes afterwards and starts going up. You lose that tremendous. You're too late. You lose that opportunity, and I believe you're going to see it, happen. Where you'll see fixed rates as if we see and I can't wait to hear what Benjamin Tal has to say about it. And that's going to be I really love hearing him speak. He's been right on so many. It's amazing. But you're going to see. I believe you're going to see rates coming down. You're obviously not going to see the variable rates go down because the bank is going to stay there to make sure that they can get the inflation targets where they want. You're going to see rates coming down, and then you're going to see somewhere in that lull, in that pessimism, in that gloom, doom, a light at the end of the tunnel. And then one day we're going to get up 1 month, I don't know when, end of 2023. Let me put dates, I guess, 2023, 24, maybe the end of 24. They're going to say, here we go. Rates have come down. Property prices have started. Imagine the one day we get property prices month over month or whatever tick upwards. People are going to be like, holy smokes. Explode. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to go big time. So
I know you've recommended this we have John in at our sales meetings almost on a weekly basis. So your strategy right now, if your son or daughter or cousin or nephew or sister is buying a house right now, your closest people, what's your recommendation? Because there is this perception in the public, certainly amongst first-time buyers, most people, they think, I got to get a 5-year fixed mortgage. What is your recommendation right now? If I'm coming in to buy a house, I need financing, what do you recommend?
We have a stress test that happens no matter what, basically at around 7.5%. And we have to look, we have certain guidelines that we have to look at in terms of what's suitable for the clients. If a client is risk averse and can't handle the risk, I prefer in clients and to educate them and to stay within a 1 or 2 year right now just to see where rates are. But if you have someone that's risk averse, mortified, scared,
just wants to know
what the payment is, maybe their cash flow is what they don't. And I tell them, look, one of the risks also perceived or implied is that if you take a 5-year mortgage at whatever 5% right now, and rates go down to, by 1% or 2%, the penalties on some of these mortgages can be astronomical.
For sure.
And you trying to break
I've learned.
Yeah. You trying to break it is going to make it look, it's going to look even bad on us that we don't give you the proper information that, this is one of the options, or one of the things that could occur. So where clients are able to, we look. At the end of the day, I think everybody in our industry knows that.
So you're scooting the question. I'm asking you if it's you or your family.
If it's me or my family, I would only do a 1-year mortgage.
A 1-year mortgage.
100%. I'd be like, you know what? I'm in it right now. I'm stuck in the mud, let's say, where the car's spinning. I'm going to slow it down, take the time, and reevaluate everything year over year. That's the complete honest thing.
The last time we heard Benjamin Tal speak, he predicted sort of where we are now.
Yeah, he got it right.
He said the one massive mistake that the government could make is raising interest rates
100%.
too quickly.
I remember him saying
too
that.
much. Right. He said it flat out.
Smart. He was 100% right.
It has been inching up.
Yeah.
Let's say. I know it's shocking to the system and everybody's freaking out. The reality is interest
rates
are still
hard.
low.
It was going very hard. And then this last one,
they slowed it.
As much as, I'd like to criticize the Bank of Canada for some of the previous things that they would have said, and they're far smarter than I would be. But in terms of they knew they were printing money, they knew what was going on, and when they were questioned about it, they were encouraged Canadians to borrow money, to finance, to do whatever, encourage business, use their savings in some cases, whatever. And, they were actually questioned in several times by members of parliament with regards to that. Now, that being said, and, we're all, as I would say, in this boat, this last rate increase not being of the 75, I think it took a little bit of the anxiety away from, not a lot, very little. If I had to quantitate it, it'd be minuscule, but it took away a little. They said, okay, the bank is guiding now. They're giving information. Okay, we're coming towards an end. There's, again, the light at the end of the tunnel, giving people, even if it's a semblance of hope of where it is, of being able to manage their expense. Because at the end of the day, when your mortgage payments are changing every month, and we have over 50%, I believe, Canadians in variable rate mortgages, whether they're investors. Imagine being in investment properties and you're going to be underwater. Imagine how many properties that people bought in the height of the market.
Buckle down and hang on.
Yeah, so you're going to be into it and you're underwater. And how many people that are not getting paid rents? But at the end of the day, this is important to them to know that there's a way out. Then they could get out of this somehow and wait to see how they can reevaluate. But I prefer year over year evaluate, just like we do everything else. We do our taxes, evaluation, budgets. You can do on a yearly, monthly, but it gives you an opportunity. I would do 1 year.
Tell me if this is an accurate statement, okay? If you're a new person coming into the market, I mean, in my mind, the rise in rates affects current people that already own and who are going to have to re-up or refinance or do whatever they have to do. Because if you're new coming into the market, money is still cheap.
Yeah.
Like, we forget so easily the past and how high interest rates
I completely
have been.
get that. And related to the prices too, like it's cheaper as to what we saw before.
But it's historically cheap.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so a brand new person walks into the market, 5-year rate, what is it?
Let's say actually they came down today, so let's say mid fives depending.
Okay, so 5.5% for $1 million
with property values having come down as well, right?
Right.
So you're at about 5,000 something.
So let's rewind to 1982, 1977. Let's rewind a generation when they're paying 14%, 17%, 20%.
I get, but we had there was significant issues around all that, and we saw what that ended up really leading to when we went into 89, 90, and the unwinding and this is, I think,
my
what's
point is
happening.
Money is still relatively inexpensive. It is.
I would agree.
It's just not compared to the last 3-5 years.
I would agree historically and disagree with the perception of this generation that's in this market right now. It's related to what this. What's going on with the buyers that are in this market that are looking first-time buyers or repeat buyers that that don't have a house that's almost entirely paid off. That are maybe our parents or something to that effect. They're going through a lot because they have a lot of them. We have to look at more than just one factor. They're going through a lot in terms of employment. Some people may have full-time salaried employed, or they're professionals that they're guaranteed that they'll make a certain amount of money. But there's a lot of people that don't have long-term tenured employment, that are on contracts, that are on year-to-year contracts that have variable incomes, that a lot of their incomes were based on commission sales. A lot of their incomes were based on, base plus a bonus. And I think we have to look at all that. It's not just rates and payments. It's what are these people actually going through personally in terms of how, and then you add expenses. If they have families, if they have other types of expenses, if they have to take care of elderly, there's a lot.
Children are slightly expensive.
Exactly. So there's a lot,
especially girls. I don't want to get in trouble.
Oh,
you're
going to get
that.
totally. Well, you're going to be doing Uber Eats for a week for sure straight.
Yeah.
But people are going through a lot right now,
yeah.
And it wasn't as when business and money was flowing all over the place and everything. During the pandemic, and for right or wrong, history will write itself down the road. Someone will write or professors and people will write books on it, academics, but. People are going through real things right now, and they're.
Tell me about it.
And people, and
I bought a real estate brokerage right before this change.
Yeah, I know. It's a humongous endeavor, but some of the greatest things have to happen during. You don't have a timing to it, right?
For sure.
There was
saying it's always darkest before the dawn, right?
People don't stop, don't stop their lives because they're going through things. If it's not a life or death, you just got to keep putting one foot forward over the other. You got to get up and you got to keep going.
For sure.
And people have gone through, and it's funny, Michael Callis brought it up in the Baycrest meeting, and I think it was a very poignant thing to say, and as well Donna Taylor brought up. with them, both of them said something that stuck with me, and is actually my daughter. We were talking about it a little bit. Was the fact that we are privileged in our business in a way. We were in a business that wasn't, barred from doing business. We were there within a month
All
or
through
two.
COVID,
We
yeah.
really significantly benefited in many ways. A lot of us did in this industry. And throughout the many, many years, let's go back, like you said, years and years, we've had the ability to earn a good income through highs and lows. So what do? The moment the market goes down, we shut down our business and
No,
go
of course
crying
not.
out.
Of course
Whatever.
not.
There's going to be issues that
It
come
needs
up.
a culling anyway, our industry. Like, we need to get rid of a
Look,
lot
even
of
if it's one of
agents.
us that gets called, even if I am a dinosaur
God
and
forbid.
we're called out of the market and say, you know what, John, you're done, whatever, you're thing, and it could happen. The business, your business can just devolve.
sure.
The calls stop, and then you're out, and that's you do whatever, and you could try it, and that's just the way life works. You just try your best.
I think a lot of people out there don't realize that in our industry, prices aren't the biggest factor, right? Prices, if they go up 10%, they go down 10%. It doesn't really affect us all that greatly. We need to see volume of deals. That's the most important thing in our industry.
Well, what are you seeing right now? What is it? Well, you talk to agents. All
I'm
the time.
seeing a roller coaster, to be honest. Obviously, the market took a big hit at the beginning. So I would say really towards middle of May, things really started to slow down.
Yeah.
June and July were dead. Like, I'm talking, our deal volume was cut by 75%.
Yeah. Much
Okay.
yeah.
And then in August, things picked up considerably, and we were back to regular levels of deals. Prices had come down, I'd say 20% in the span of 3 months.
Yeah.
Like, that is a drop.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Now,
significant.
that only took us back to January's prices,
Yeah.
which is the crazy thing, because prices went up so much from January until May. Anyway, so it was dead. August picked up, and I said to myself, this is great. September's going to continue, and September dropped like a stone again, which was crazy to me. And then October, it went back to August levels. And so far, November is looking a lot more like up high as opposed to down low. Like, so I think we've started to see some balance. I think sellers and buyers are starting to
They're
come
finding
in
that
line.
equilibrium in the market. Where,
Sellers realize their $3 million home is not worth $3 million anymore, and buyers are starting to realize they can't get a $3 million home for $1 million.
yeah, much to the effect, you still have people that there's an inventory crisis in Canada, and there's still but
Huge inventory crisis.
Yeah, there's especially in the large metropolitan areas. I'm sure they're going through a lot there, and until that is. Will it be resolved? I don't believe so. It takes a lot to build in Canada, especially when your cold comes and you got 6 months out of the year where it's, everything gets, you're from going, let's say if you're at 100% build rates, you're down to 50 and 40, depending on, the circumstances and supply chains and all these other things that are out there. But
so while we still have, sorry to cut you off there, while we still have some time, I want to touch on something. Maybe we'll have you back to go into more depth in this, but I want to tell you a story because you've been with me every step of the way, and I think that
I'm proud of you too.
Oh,
I'll
thanks,
put it
brother.
on record now. So
Oh, thank you.
yeah,
I don't think there's enough people that realize the power of purchasing their first home, right? So when I came into this business, I had just gotten married. My wife Stephanie and I bought our first home. Okay, it was a 1.5 story home.
I totally remember. You're telling
in
it to me,
Clanton
and I
Park.
remember.
Yeah, we bought it for $370,000.
Yeah.
A 50 by 120 foot lot, decent enough 1.5 story house. Wasn't in great condition, but our plan was always to tear down and build. Anyways, we buy that home. A couple of years later, I came to you and I said, John, I have an opportunity to buy some homes in London, Ontario.
I totally forgot about those.
I want to refinance the house.
I completely forgot. Yeah.
So I had built up some additional equity in the house, plus the price had gone up.
Yeah.
So we took money out of the house with your help. I bought these homes with my partners in London.
Yeah.
Didn't think about it again. You start paying down your houses in London. You buy a few more, but that's separate. Okay, so I continue to pay down the house, and the house continues to go up in value. And then I come to you again and I say, John, I have an opportunity. Richie's buying the business from my dad. I need to buy in. I need to get some funds. How do we do this? We refinance the house. I take money out of my house. I buy into my business. Bada bing, bada bang. The years go on. I continue to pay down that debt, build up considerably more equity as the price keeps going up. John, it's time to tear down the house, build a new house.
Yeah.
How do we do it? John, it's time to buy my building that my office is in. How do we do it? John, I have to buy out my partners. How do we do it? Everything came from the house.
That's like when you just put that timeline together, and I'm just thinking about it all because of all the stuff. I was like, that's such
20 years.
That's such a compelling, and it's the same place that has done it over and over and over. And, you know, obviously we've had lulls in the market and whatnot. And at the end of the day, you still make your payments. You still built the equity in. Mm-hmm. It's not as though that bungalow is still there. There was equity that was built, sweat equity.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot that went into it, you know, that. But when you look at it, you know, it's a very compelling argument about what? Real estate over the long term.
For sure.
Certainly, like, you know, look at the difference that it makes. Even if you get the one house, it could change your life. Even if you're not into buying other real estate, what if you end up buying investments or doing anything else? Yeah.
Tell me another gift that we get from the federal government. We get nothing from the federal government in terms of gifts except for your home. And the fact that you don't have to pay capital gains tax. For now, while you own that home. Yeah. I will fight the government tooth and nail. I will run for office if that becomes part of an official platform.
But I completely believe that is why we have to do everything in this country to help people get homes from every level. I'm not expecting everyone to buy if you could get a condo for $200,000 wherever we find it. If it's wherever Barrie, wherever they are, I don't know. Find ways to help. Get people into homes.
It is the key to the Canadian or American dream.
Yeah.
It is, absolutely.
And it's key to everything. It just helps build these countries, you know, especially Canada, is such a massive country, so much land, so much space. And it involves a lot in terms of enormous capital expenditures for infrastructure. You're going to need it. Doesn't matter just because we have all this space. You need infrastructure and services to service this. Mm-hmm. But we need to do what we can to help people understand. Look, some people may never want to buy and own a home, and that's completely fine. They'll live somewhere, you know, and that's where landlords come in place, and helping landlords actually get property zoned for multiple legal units, you know, finding easier paths to helping ease this crisis that people have right now with the rentals and whatnot. So helping, you know, I believe there's plans in place for that. I'm not completely familiar with it, but getting into that stuff there, it helps our industry. It has to. But your point is, it's amazing. It did do a lot.
The power of home ownership is amazing.
It's everything. Even
so. Before we finish up here, if you could look into the camera, if you could reach out to the people listening, the agents that are listening, what would be your number one pet peeve with agents? What's the mistake that they're making? What if you could correct one thing that agents are doing wrong when it comes to your side of the business?
Why would you ask me a question like this?
Because I want to educate people. I want people to know, and I see mistakes all the time, and mistakes are learning opportunities. And
can I tell you from?
As well.
I'm going to be broad, because I'm going to tell you from the super high level agents that I deal with, and you know, agents, and they're all everybody's trying. They don't go in this business not to, but to the point. The most important thing, and it's not. I know it's a run of the mill answer is. Do you communicate with your client as to what they want and follow up? It's funny, we recently heard that, but it's the absolute truth. It's the same with goes me with clients that I've made the mistake sometimes. You know, we're so busy, especially in 2021, running around, pumping applications, doing whatever, trying to get things done, getting quotes back to clients, and you don't follow up in enough time. You don't take the time. Some things we're humans. We slipped, not getting the timing right, you know, instead of getting back. I think that's extremely, extremely important. But, you know, that I guess imparting the same rules that I treat other people like you would want to be treated with the same dignity and respect. It's an old, simple rule. Dignity and respect. It's not about the sale. Do the right thing. Forget about your commission. That's not the important thing.
That's what we teach.
If you are commission driven, eventually it's that people will, you know, your circle of you'll get paid, but your circle of influence, you know, winds itself down. People will come and leave it because you know what? They may not get back to you about how they feel about you and say, you know what, that guy, John, he just cared about his commission or whatever it is. But
they'll get back to those people.
they'll get back to your referral source and say, you know what, and that's when you insult the referral. I'll say it harshly. It's an insult when they get a call, not saying praising that they got a good.
Like, Darren, why the fuck did you recommend me?
Why'd
John?
you send him
He's
to
a
that
dick.
stupid person?
Yeah.
You know, like they didn't know what the hell they were talking about. That to me is my biggest nightmare, to have to think that would end up happening. So you just try to be objective in whatever you're doing. You know, and I think that's the important thing. Everybody knows the standard stuff, and especially in these offices, everybody's got the paperwork more or less basically down, asking the right question, doing what they have to do. I'd say that is just following up. The difference in the follow-ups is very important, like and how you're passing off, you know, dealing with the clients and, you know, keeping the communication.
See, I wonder if enough agents are having the conversation with their clients. Like, so many times on the agent side, a new client will come. An agent's just so excited to have some business, particularly agents that aren't doing a deal a week.
Yeah.
And they get a new client. The new client says, I'm looking $2 million price range in Allenby. And we just start to look for product in that $2 million price range in Allenby. And they could spend a month showing them properties just to find out that they haven't spoken to a mortgage broker and they can only afford $1.5 million.
You're making an amazing point. There's a time that you can be an order taker, I guess, but try to give, you know, especially when it comes to the actual real estate. The mortgages are simple. I'll be honest with you, in the sense that generally, in terms of here's the people go online and these websites and whatnot and look, but when they're looking for a specific property, you know, I think you need to know a lot more about those clients ahead of time. Like that's what I would think, way more before have a commitment to one another and understanding what's exactly going on. That's what I think.
The other big issue I see on the agent mortgage broker side, the biggest misconception out there is your new client will come in and tell you they don't need a financing condition because they've been approved up to $2 million.
Yeah.
Well, that's fucking great. The house hasn't been approved up to $2 million.
You know how I've been about all these things. I'm adamant. Even in that hype market, I was always financing clauses, financing. I know. I'll be honest with you, it made me unpopular with some people, and fortunately not from our office. But I actually got calls and people saying, you know, are you trying to kill our deals?
Yeah, what the fuck? What are you telling my client?
You, like it was, and I'll be honest with you. And I may not look like a sensitive guy, but I was like, I just fucking lost these agents are never going to deal with me. And whatever it is, it is. I go, but this is the right thing to do. Like if the deal blows up, it blows up. Your clients are able to buy. Just put a clause in there. Even if you give us some time to get, you know, the lawyer, the appraiser, the bank through, you know, we try to push it right away. There's no reason. I've said we can get these things done. But
there's been circumstances where I've come to you. I mean, because listen, we'd love to have financing conditions in every offer we do. It's not a reality back in that market. But a lot of times you were able to get appraisals done for us before we would put in the offer. So, you know, you got to pull strings. And a
lot of the times we contact the appraisals, the company, and they said, okay, and I talked to the appraisers, depending on the circumstances that we're in. You know, I talked to the appraisers and you have a confidence level. But those deals, believe it or not, are still conditional at that point there. It's just that we have an idea. And I talk to the appraiser. I say, here's the property there. And they literally go through it. And other than it being put on there, then I know that, you know, we're in a situation that we can do something. You have to put the work in. A lot of appraisers don't want to do that. But you call, and if you have a relationship with them, you can go through it and talk to them, go through, and they'll say they're not going to put their license on the line or do whatever they're going to end up doing. But it is, you know, a step that you got to take the extra steps to do the due diligence is for the clients ahead of time. That's what, 100%. But that's a different market now. That's over.
Yep, it is. But it'll be back.
Yeah, but that's a market was for then, and we're in a different market now.
But I can tell you, John, even though we're in a different market, I'm still working with buyers, and I'm still seeing them come in saying we're approved up to this, we're approved up to that.
Yeah, no,
they don't realize that the house has to be approved.
Yeah,
as well.
The house completely has to be approved, and there's a lot more steps that are involved in these types of situations. And I think you're going to see a lot of clients, I think, are becoming more educated in these things right now. Like online, you go online, you could literally, there's the plethora of information out there is incredible.
A plethora.
Here's the word of the day. I don't know how many letters was that, you know, but there's so much out there that people can educate themselves.
Remember Pee-wee's Playhouse when you had the word of the day?
Oh, was it? Is that the word of the day?
Let's do plethora. There we go.
The plethora, the word of the day. Might be a Greek word.
Yeah, it probably is.
Well, maybe he is. I'll have to look it up.
From the Greek man himself.
From the-
Anyways,
yeah.
I got to cut us off because we're
No
out of
problem,
time,
no
but I would
problem.
love
Thanks
to
for
have you
having me.
back. That was great. John, unfortunately, my phone is filming, so I can't give out your number. I forgot to write it down. Why don't you give out your number, your email address?
Yeah, no problem. My phone number is area code 416-890-1365. 416-890-1365.
I should know that off by heart.
Yeah, and the email is going to be very easy. It's john.mortgage@rogers.com.
John.mortgage@rogers.com. Guys, thanks for listening. Our
Yeah.
next episode, we got Harley Appleby coming in. He is the accountant to the Star Agents.
Yeah.
Johnny, appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me,
And
buddy.
everybody, thanks for listening.
Have a great one.